Since we are on the grounds of a business school, and since we are supposed to dwell into the future, I am going to speak about future challenges of management and management education. Let me start with a quote from very well-known global financier David Rockefeller, who said, I quote exactly, "We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the new world order." It was said some 25 years ago on one of the United Nations conferences. And today these words seem to be coming true in a perverse way, certainly against author's intentions. It's human emotions that trigger major economic changes, not the other way around as it has been so far. The logic of economics yields to the logic of emotions. The neoliberal world order, dominated by one superpower, is falling into pieces, like the Morandi Bridge in Genova, considered a symbol of modernity for many years. There is a global transformation ahead of us, but the new world order is nowhere to be seen yet. We don't see it. It's coming. So, it will be a kind of journey into the unknown. The key to understand it is the idea of, which I call generalized uncertainty, which is impossibility to predict the parameters crucial for survival and development of individual people, communities, organizations, and even countries and nations. Uncertainty carries emotions, often verging on aggression and panic, clearly visible in political behavior across the world. In recent decades, both the practice and theory of economics and management, as well as managerial education, have been under strong pressure for globalization, bringing standardization of patterns, principles, philosophies, and practices, something which we call golden standard of management education. They were shaped and cemented many years ago, and therefore they are less and less suited to the dynamically changing reality. Business practitioners operating on competitive markets intuitively find their way to adjust to the new reality, taking advantage of the latest technology, artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, etc. But they are using it intuitively. There is no clear explanatory concept capable of telling us why things happen as they happen. And such a theory needs a global perspective, because the world is one. And there is a global village if only for technological and logistic reasons, if only for the reasons of so extended global supply chains. And no new nationalism is capable to change it. It's going to stay with us, globalization. But without a theory enabling us to understand why things happen, science loses its educational and heuristic value, and it is no longer possible to teach management on ancient Harvard cases and economics using subsequent editions of Samuelson's textbooks, which have been written, I don't know, 50 years ago or so. Yeah. I will try to mention the issues which I believe are the most important, and they should be brought up in all important challenges of the future. Or even, I would say, actually, I would call it buzzing present. I'll limit myself to 5. Firstly, regardless of any pledges and pleas, politics has already made its way into management and will remain there. To quote Shakespeare, hell is empty and all the devils are here. The management theory as we know it is not fit for explaining political games. Far from it. The role of this political state is increasing, not decreasing. First of all, because of continued regulatory activity, but also because of huge organizations such as sovereign wealth funds, which are directly or indirectly managed by the state, by political state. It's not a pathology. It's going to stay with us. And what mechanism governs such structures? How do we design them and modify and improve? The imitation of traditional private sector is certainly not the answer, because these are hybrid organizations, politically economic, economically political. Shall we build the Chinese wall between management and economics? And how? Is it possible? We don't have the answers, well-grounded answers. Secondly, we are witnessing a radical shift on the job markets and the labor relations. It was the main topic of Adam Noga's presentation, but I have similar opinion, by the way. Jobs that require average skills and average pay are disappearing. We are left with the jobs for those who do the thinking and for those who do the dirty work, floor sweepers. The economic basis of the existence of the middle class is vanishing. And so are traditional ambitions and dreams. It's not about having and possessing anymore, but about using, experiencing, and being thrilled. The only way to escape the trap of low-quality work, bullshit job, as Adam calls it, is something related to entrepreneurship, which involves treating and promoting oneself as a mini business. You know that people issue shares on themselves. Yeah. The employee-employer relations become more like short-term commercial transactions that can be aborted, modified, reversed, etc. HR specialists find it hard to handle such relationships. They don't know how to do it, simply. The situation becomes additionally complicated because of the unavoidable massive migration and the multicultural context of every type of management. We are not able to foresee the intensity of these processes. As for now, Pakistanis are delivering pizza on bikes all across Warsaw, as you can see. Thirdly, monolithic structures are crumbling, giving way to networks of changeable architectures and compositions. The position in a network defines the extent of the benefits gained by the people and organization. Network exists and function thanks to information technology, I mean platforms, computing power, and increasingly common use of artificial intelligence, accelerating and rationalizing decision-making and adaptive processes. Such a reality makes human aspirations change. Dreams of a vertical career from the shop floor to the CEO position, from rags to riches, as they used to say, now seem to be funnily old-fashioned and are so perceived by young people who surf not only virtual networks, but also real ones. Our duty is to prepare them for this exciting and challenging, sometimes dangerous work and lifestyles. To teach them the ability to recognize changeable currents and waves, to catch them in order to surf beautifully, and to get off them to avoid devastating force when it's necessary. Fourthly, our knowledge about managing hard assets loses significance when faced with artificial intelligence systems. It can be seen very clearly by the drop of demand for human financial analysts and logistics experts. They are not needed anymore in the artificial intelligence era. Such conventional knowledge appears useless when applied to the most fundamental resources: information and knowledge. How to invest productivity escapes the limits defined on the grounds of classical economics, the law of diminishing returns, and whose ownership, intellectual ownership, becomes increasingly illusory and hard to enforce. How to cover the massive costs of creation and upkeep of intellectual assets, since the marginal cost of their products is approaching zero. So, they should be made available of charge. The champions of new technologies defend their profits by using the brutal force of monopoly. But these are only temporary solutions, causing increasing social resistance and political pressure of global dimension. People revolt against it. That's very clear. Google has global problems, and it's going to have more of it. And finally, one of the most mythologized issues in today's practice and theory of management is leadership. We can see wild offers popping up every now and then in the market in response to common aspirations. Great leader. This is bullshit, of course. but people like to believe it. Meanwhile, all serious analysis show that his heroic era of great leaders, followed by masses, is coming to an end. In network systems, their authority is too limited and too unstable. So it is necessary to explore and develop the ideas of bounded leadership and dispersed leadership. If the community of experts, educators, and researchers in the field of management and economics wishes to stay relevant and maintain its prestige, popularity, and big money, very big money, it needs to rethink its paradigms and questions many ideas considered undisputable until recently. This will be especially difficult in academia. Why? Because of the fossilized division into rigidly defined sciences and disciplines and increasingly narrow specializations. Formalized mechanism of promotion and academic career development follow increasing fragmentation of science. Negative role play conservative criteria of distribution of research grants and peer review system applied in more or less prestigious academic journals, acting as platforms for academic advancement. It effectively prevents innovative and unorthodox ideas appearing in print. I remember when I was teaching at George Washington University in the 70s, we were very close to the National Science Foundation. And I became friends with some people employed there. And one thing they said to me is very simple. We never finance anything original. Economists and management scholars are people with particularly extensive practical experience, and they should do whatever it takes to avoid wearing red turbans, as depicted sarcastically by great Polish poet Tadeusz Różewicz. Translation is mine, so please don't blame me. At a university, a professor shaded under an umbrella, wearing a red turban, teaches metaphysics, suggests inhaling prana, nonsense, duplicity, and lies. Thank you.